Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where we dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and collectible history. If you've ever wondered how something as small as a dime could hold a story so rich, so mysterious, and so valuable that collectors around the world chase after it with unmatched passion, then today's episode is for you. We're uncovering the secrets of one of the rarest coins in American history, the United States Barber I dime of 1894. Now, most of us look at a dime and think of pocket change. It's small, light, and often overlooked. But the 1894 Barber dime is not just any ordinary coin, it's a legend in the numismatic world. To understand why this dime has become so valuable, we need to travel back to the late 19th century and discover the origins of the Barber series, the mystery behind its mintage, and why it has captivated collectors for over a century. The Barber dime takes its name from its designer, Charles E. Barber, who was the chief engraver of the United States Mint. In the early 1890s, America was seeking a new look for its coinage. The seated Liberty design had been in use for decades, and it was time for something fresh, something that reflected a changing nation. Barber, with his skill and attention to detail, created the design that would adorn the dime, quarter, and half dollar. On the obverse of the coin, you'll find the Liberty head, wearing a Phrygian cap and crowned with a laurel wreath, symbolizing freedom and victory. The reverse featured a simple yet elegant wreath encircling the words, "1 dime." But what makes the 1894 Barber dime stand apart from the rest is its rarity. In fact, it is one of the most famous rarities in all of American coinage. In 1894, at the San Francisco Mint, only 24 of these dimes were struck. Yes, you heard that correctly, just 24. Why such a tiny number? That's where the mystery deepens. Historians and numismatists have debated the reason for this unusual mintage for decades. Some suggest that it was struck as a special gift for bankers or high officials. Others believe it was a trial run to balance the mint's accounting books at the end of the fiscal year. And there's even a charming story that one of the mint's employees gave several of these dimes to his young daughter, who later spent them on ice cream, never realizing the fortune they would one day be worth. Whatever the true story, the result is the same. The 1894 Barber dime became one of the rarest coins in the world, with only a handful known to exist today. Each surviving piece is a numismatic treasure, carefully protected and fiercely competed for whenever it appears on the auction block. The allure of this coin doesn't just come from its rarity. It's also a symbol of the unpredictability of history. Something so small, minted in such limited numbers, has gone on to carry such immense value and intrigue. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that represents over a century of mystery, scarcity, and desire. It's no wonder that collectors and investors alike dream of adding one to their collections. Condition, as always, plays a huge role in determining a coin's value. With the Barber dime of 1894, even lower-grade examples are virtually priceless because of their rarity. But when you find one in higher grades, coins that have been preserved with care, coins that show crisp details of Liberty's face, the laurel wreath, and the delicate lettering, the price skyrockets beyond imagination. Every time one of these legendary dimes surfaces at auction, it becomes a headline event in the numismatic world. Collectors gather, bidding wars ignite, and the final hammer price often leaves jaws on the floor. These aren't just coins, they're artifacts of history, symbols of rarity, and testaments to the enduring fascination with America's coinage. Now comes the part you've been waiting for, the value. Imagine discovering one of these hidden treasures, tucked away in a collection or passed down through family generations. If you are lucky enough to have an authentic Barber I dime from 1894, its worth today can reach an astonishing $345,000. That's right, $345,000 for a single dime. So, next time you come across an old box of coins, don't overlook the smallest pieces. History has shown us time and time again that even the tiniest coin can carry a story, and a fortune. Today, we're diving into one of the most beloved designs in American coinage, a coin that carries both beauty and mystery, the United States Mercury dime. Specifically, we'll be focusing on the Mercury I dime from 1942, a year that produced one of the most famous errors in American numismatic history, and a coin that can reach jaw-dropping values if you happen to have the right one in your collection. When people hear the word dime, they often think of small change, a simple coin you might find at the bottom of your pocket or in a coin jar at home. But the Mercury dime is far from ordinary. Introduced in 1916 and minted until 1945, this coin remains one of the most iconic designs in U.S. history. It was created by the talented sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, whose artistry captured the spirit of America during a time of progress and challenge. On the obverse side of the coin, you'll see the beautiful image of Lady Liberty wearing a winged cap. Many people mistakenly thought this was the Roman god Mercury, which is how the coin got its popular nickname, the Mercury dime. But in truth, it is Liberty herself, symbolizing freedom of thought and the soaring ideals of the nation. The reverse features a fasces, a bundle of rods bound together with an axe, representing strength and unity, along with an olive branch that symbolizes peace. This powerful combination of strength and peace makes the Mercury dime not only a work of art but also a meaningful symbol of America's values. Now, let's turn to the year 1942, which was a significant one for the United States. The world was at war, and America had just entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941. Factories, mints, and industries across the nation were working at full speed, and in the midst of this hurried production, a remarkable error occurred, an error that would make some 1942 Mercury dimes among the most valuable coins in the world. The famous error we're talking about is the 1942-41 overdate variety. This happened at the Philadelphia and Denver mints when a 1942 die was accidentally punched over a 1941 die, creating a double date that can be clearly seen on the coin. Instead of showing a clean 1942, these rare error dimes reveal traces of the 1941 beneath, making them instantly recognizable to collectors. Because of the rush of wartime production and the manual nature of die creation, a few of these incredible mistakes slipped into circulation, forever changing the story of the Mercury dime. What makes this error so fascinating is not just the fact that it exists, but also how few of them survived. Most were used in everyday commerce, passed from hand to hand without anyone noticing the double date. Over time, many of them wore down, further disguising the error. Today, finding a 1942 Mercury dime with this overdate error in excellent, uncirculated condition is like striking gold. In the world of numismatics, collectors are drawn to the 1942 Mercury dime not just for its error but also for the artistry of the coin itself. The design remains one of the most admired in all of American coinage, and the historical context of World War II adds to its significance. Owning one of these dimes feels like holding a piece of both art and history, a small silver treasure that connects you directly to the past. The rarity of the 1942-41 overdate variety makes it a crown jewel in any collection. Auction houses have seen bidding wars break out over these coins, with collectors and investors determined to secure one of the few surviving examples. Every time one appears on the market, it captures the attention of the entire coin collecting community. Condition is key. A coin that has been well preserved, showing crisp details of Liberty's cap, the date, and the fasces on the reverse, will bring an especially high price. Even in lower grades, this coin is highly valuable, but in pristine condition, the numbers climb to levels that are truly astonishing. So, what is the value of a 1942 Mercury 1 dime with the famous overdate error in top condition? Brace yourself, because if you're lucky enough to own one, it could be worth an incredible $165,000. That's right, $165,000 for a dime that many people might overlook as just spare change. It's the perfect reminder that history, rarity, and a little bit of luck can turn something small into something extraordinary. So next time you're looking through your coin jar, your old collection, or even a handful of change, take a close look. That ordinary-looking dime could actually be a legendary treasure waiting to be discovered. Today, we are turning our attention to one of America's most iconic coins, a piece that combines artistry, history, and rarity in a way that continues to capture the imagination of collectors even today. We are talking about the United States Mercury 1 dime from the year 1937, a coin that is not only beautiful to look at but also carries an extraordinary value if you happen to have the right one in your possession. When people think of a dime, they often imagine just a small silver coin, perhaps sitting in their pocket change or rattling at the bottom of a drawer. But the Mercury dime is far more than just pocket change. It represents one of the most admired coin designs in U.S. history. Struck between 1916 and 1945, the Mercury dime was created during a time of transformation in American coinage, when the mint wanted to move away from older, outdated designs and introduce fresh, artistic imagery that would reflect the nation's ideals. The artist behind this masterpiece was Adolph Weinman, a gifted sculptor who also designed the famous Walking Liberty half-dollar. On the obverse of the Mercury dime, we see Liberty wearing a winged cap, a striking and graceful figure that symbolizes freedom of thought. For years, many people mistakenly thought the figure was the Roman god Mercury, which is how the coin got its popular nickname. On the reverse side, you'll find a fasces, a bundle of rods tied together with an axe, representing unity and strength, paired with an olive branch that stands for peace. This dual message of strength and peace made the Mercury dime not just a piece of currency, but a statement of American values. Now, let's step into the world of 1937. America was still climbing out of the Great Depression, a decade marked by hardship and resilience. At the same time, tensions were rising across the globe as the world inched closer to World War II. Within this historical backdrop, the 1937 Mercury dime was minted, carrying with it the artistry of Weinman's design and the weight of history that surrounded its creation. While millions of Mercury dimes were produced in 1937 across different mints, not all of them are equal in the eyes of collectors. What makes certain 1937 Mercury dimes stand out is their condition, their rarity in high grades, and in some cases, unique minting errors that occurred during production. Coins that have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition, with their details sharp and their luster intact, are considered treasures. For collectors, owning such a coin feels like holding a time capsule from the late 1930s, a direct connection to an era of uncertainty and change. One of the most thrilling aspects of coin collecting is the possibility of discovering minting errors. Sometimes, during the pressure and speed of striking, dies clash, double strikes occur, or small variations slip through unnoticed. These rare mistakes transform an ordinary dime into a one-of-a-kind piece. The 1937 Mercury dime is no exception, with certain examples featuring unique characteristics that make them incredibly desirable. Even without errors, the 1937 Mercury dime in exceptionally high condition can spark intense bidding wars at auctions. Collectors and investors alike recognize that quality and rarity go hand in hand. Every tiny detail, from Liberty's facial features to the feathers on her winged cap and the lines of the fasces on the reverse, becomes crucial when experts grade the coin. Coins preserved with mirror-like surfaces and minimal marks are considered numismatic jewels, and they command extraordinary prices. The excitement around coins like the 1937 Mercury dime lies not only in their value but also in their symbolism. These coins remind us that even during challenging times, artistry and craftsmanship can thrive. They tell stories of a nation enduring hardship, yet striving to project ideals of freedom, strength, and peace through its currency. Holding one of these coins is like holding a piece of American spirit, frozen in silver. Now, after exploring its history, design, and rarity, it's time to reveal what this coin could actually be worth today. Imagine finding a 1937 Mercury dime tucked away in a family collection or sitting unnoticed in a forgotten box of old coins. If that dime happens to be one of the rare examples in superb, uncirculated condition, it could reach an astonishing value of $275,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $275,000 for a single Mercury dime from 1937. That incredible number shows just how powerful rarity and condition can be in the world of coin collecting. Something so small, something that many people once spent without a second thought, has become a treasure worth more than most people's homes. So the next time you look at a handful of coins, remember that even the tiniest piece of silver can carry a legacy of art, history, and fortune. The Mercury dime is proof that no coin should ever be overlooked. Today, we're going to talk about the Mercury 1 dime from the year 1945, a coin that not only marks the end of an era in American coinage but also represents one of the most fascinating chapters in numismatic history. By the end of this video, you'll learn just how valuable this dime can be, and I promise you the number will absolutely shock you. the Mercury dime has long been celebrated as one of the most beautiful coin designs in the history of the United States Mint. First issued in 1916, it was designed by Adolph A. Weinman, an artist whose work helped define early 20th century American coinage. On the front of the coin is Liberty herself, wearing a winged cap that symbolizes freedom of thought. Over the years, people confused this image with the Roman god Mercury, and the nickname Mercury dime stuck. On the reverse, the coin carries a fasces, a bundle of rods tied together with an axe, representing strength and unity, alongside an olive branch that symbolizes peace. This powerful balance between peace and strength made the Mercury dime a true symbol of America's ideals during a turbulent period of history. Now let's focus on the year 1945. This was not just any year, it was the year World War II came to a dramatic end. Victory in Europe was declared in May, and later in August, Japan surrendered, bringing the global conflict to a close. The Mercury dime struck in 1945, therefore, is tied directly to one of the most significant turning points in world history. Every dime from that year is a piece of silver that carries the weight of a nation emerging from war into a new era of hope and rebuilding, but 1945 is special in another way. It marked the final year of the Mercury dime series. After nearly 3 decades in circulation, the design was retired and replaced the following year by the Roosevelt dime, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away in April 1945. That makes the 1945 Mercury dime the last of its kind, the end of a historic series, and that alone gives it special appeal among collectors. What makes the 1945 Mercury dime so fascinating is not just its role as the final issue but also the rare varieties and minting quirks that set some examples apart from the rest. One of the most famous is the 1945 Micro S variety, struck at the San Francisco Mint. On this variety, the mint mark S is unusually small compared to normal issues. These dimes are scarce and highly prized because they represent a minting oddity from a year already steeped in historical significance. Collectors know that condition is everything. A 1945 Mercury dime that has been heavily circulated, worn down by everyday use, may only be worth its silver content. But when you find a coin that has been preserved in superb condition, with sharp details, full luster, and little to no signs of wear, its value jumps dramatically. Add in the right variety, like the Micro S, and suddenly you're looking at one of the most desirable dimes in American numismatics. Auction houses have seen these coins spark intense competition among bidders. The combination of history, beauty, rarity, and condition is irresistible to serious collectors. Every time a high-grade 1945 Mercury dime comes up for sale, it attracts attention not just from collectors in the United States, but from around the world. People know they are bidding on more than a coin, they are bidding on a piece of history from the final chapter of a legendary series. Let's also consider the artistry of Adolph Weinman one last time. His work on the Mercury dime is often described as one of the most graceful and symbolic designs ever placed on American money. The 1945 issue is the last time that artistry appeared on circulating dimes. It is the closing signature on a masterpiece that collectors continue to treasure. Now comes the part you've been waiting for, the value. Imagine stumbling upon a 1945 Mercury dime in your old family collection, or finding one tucked away in a coin album that has been forgotten for years. If that coin happens to be a rare high-grade specimen, especially one of the coveted varieties, then you are looking at a treasure worth an astounding $222,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. $222,000 for a single Mercury 1 dime from 1945. Think about that for a moment. A coin that once had the power to buy a simple meal or a handful of groceries now has the power to change someone's life. That is the magic of numismatics, where history, rarity, and beauty come together to transform ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. So the next time you come across a Mercury dime, especially from the year 1945, take a closer look. It might not just be silver change, it could be one of the most valuable coins you'll ever hold in your hand. Today, we're exploring a modern coin that many people have held in their hands without ever realizing its hidden potential. We're talking about the United States Roosevelt 1 dime from 1991, a coin that may seem like ordinary pocket change at first glance, but under the right circumstances, it can be worth an incredible amount of money. Stick around until the very end, because the value this dime can reach will absolutely blow your mind. The Roosevelt dime has been a staple of American currency since 1946. After the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1945, the nation wanted to honor his leadership and his legacy, especially his role in founding the March of Dimes campaign to fight polio. Within just a year, the United States Mint replaced the Mercury dime with a new design featuring Roosevelt's profile, and that design has remained in use to this very day. On the obverse, or front of the coin, you'll see the familiar image of Franklin D. Roosevelt, facing left, with the word Liberty inscribed along the edge and the motto, "In God We Trust," below his chin. The date appears on the right side. On the reverse, the dime features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch representing strength and independence. This simple yet powerful design captures the spirit of post-war America and continues to define the dime we use daily. Now, let's focus specifically on the year 1991. At this point in history, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for 45 years. By then, the coins were no longer made of silver but instead a copper-nickel-clad composition, which had been introduced in 1965. That means most 1991 dimes are only worth their face value, 10 cents, when found in circulation. But here's where things get interesting. What sets some 1991 Roosevelt dimes apart is not the ordinary coins you find in everyday pocket change, but the rare examples that have been preserved in pristine condition, as well as those that carry unique minting errors. Collectors prize coins that are graded at the highest levels, where every tiny detail of Roosevelt's profile is crisp and sharp, the surfaces are clean, and the original mint luster still shines brightly. Achieving such condition is rare because most dimes enter circulation almost immediately after being minted and quickly accumulate scratches, nicks, and where, even more exciting, are the error coins from 1991. Sometimes during the minting process, mistakes happen, planchets are misaligned, double strikes occur, or the wrong metal is used. There are even rare cases of missing mint marks or design doubling. These errors turn an otherwise ordinary dime into a collectible rarity, highly sought after by enthusiasts. The thrill of finding one of these error coins is what keeps collectors searching through rolls of dimes, hoping for that once-in-a-lifetime discovery. When we talk about the 1991 Roosevelt dime, condition and rarity go hand in hand. A coin preserved in an uncirculated state, especially if it has been graded by a professional service as near perfect, can command astonishing prices at auction. Add in the possibility of a dramatic minting error, and suddenly the humble 10-cent piece transforms into a treasure that collectors will compete fiercely to own. The demand for coins like the 1991 dime is fueled by both nostalgia and investment. Collectors love the Roosevelt dime because of its long history and connection to one of America's most respected presidents. Investors see rare varieties and high-grade examples as assets that only grow more valuable over time. Whenever a top-quality 1991 Roosevelt dime appears at auction, it draws attention from across the coin-collecting community, sparking bidding wars that push prices to jaw-dropping heights. Now comes the moment you've been waiting for, the value reveal. Imagine digging through a jar of old coins, or flipping through an inherited collection, and stumbling upon a flawless 1991 Roosevelt dime. If you happen to have one of the rare, high-grade examples or an error variety in pristine condition, you could be holding a coin worth an astonishing $32,000. Yes, you heard that right, $32,000 for a single dime from 1991. That's the magic of numismatics. A coin most people overlook as everyday change can, under the right circumstances, turn out to be worth more than a brand new car. It's a reminder that history, rarity, and condition can transform even the smallest coin into an extraordinary treasure. So, the next time you see a Roosevelt dime from 1991, don't dismiss it as just 10 cents. Take a closer look. You never know if you're holding one of the rarest and most valuable modern dimes out there. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the world of the 1991 Roosevelt one dime. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to learn more about coins that could be worth small fortunes, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future episodes. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and who knows, you might already have a $32,000 treasure sitting in your pocket.